Hi, I'm Norman A. Hood, financial advisor and host of the Exit Plan Show. I interview America's top advisors, like today's guest, Jim Cumbee of Tennessee Valley Group. To help business owners enjoy more freedom, grow companies faster, transfer ownership seamlessly, and create lasting legacies. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Norman, thanks a lot. Good to be here.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
It's kind of good to get to know you off camera a little bit. We're going to start out. I'm going to have you tell our audience a little bit about your background and then your career path up until now.
Well, good to be here. Again, I'm a lawyer. I practiced law for a couple of years early in my career. Didn't really love the law. Decided I wanted to pursue business, so I went to Harvard Business School where I got an MBA. And soon after Harvard, I found myself in Orlando, Florida, developing real estate, which was a great career. And in the course of developing real estate in Orlando, I got on the radar screen of the Walt Disney Company and ended up working at Disney for 6 years for the Disney Development Group and helping them develop what became Disney Celebration, Disney Vacation Club, and some other businesses, Disney Institute. I spent 6 years at Disney, loved the company, but really wanted to be an entrepreneur. Resigned from Disney, bought a radio company in Nashville, out of bankruptcy, by the way, which was kind of an interesting process to buy a business from the bankruptcy court, an auction in the bankruptcy court. Turned that business around and was quite happy being an entrepreneur. Had a great team, loved what I was doing. But in the late 90s, Congress deregulated radio ownership. And when that happened, the laws of supply and demand kicked in, and radio stations suddenly became very valuable. So kind of overnight, my stations became a lot more valuable. And I sold them to a publicly traded company called Salem Communications. And I joined Salem at that point as president of non-broadcast media and was responsible for developing all their businesses outside of radio. So I was in charge of acquiring and developing internet businesses and publishing businesses and software businesses, and I did that for 8 years. But again, really desired to be an entrepreneur. So in 2008, left Disney and started Tennessee Valley Group. And I focused Tennessee Valley Group with helping business owners who want to buy or sell a company. And I kind of focused in businesses between $2 and $20 million of revenue. It's kind of the niche I play.
Okay. As far as you personally, how do you think your friends would describe you?
Well, probably they would describe me as a little intense. Hopefully, I think I've got a pretty quick wit. I read a lot, so I think I can probably engage in a conversation at any level. But hopefully, they just describe me as a good guy, which is ultimately what you aspire to.
Right. Tennessee Valley Group, so could you explain a little bit more about their services? Are you buy side and sell side, or? I
do about 50-50 buy and sell side. Business owners who want to grow through acquisition but don't have the resources internally to identify a company or negotiate the process or work through the process. Almost like I've become a third-party M&A department. That's about half of my work. Then the other half of my work are when companies, business owners decide they want to sell and or raise capital, bringing in outside capital for growth. So I'm engaged in, for example, helping two companies come together, a merger, and then bringing in an outside investor who will fund the deal and give them additional capital to grow even further. I'm helping a young business owner take some chips off the table and sell to a private equity group that's going to help him roll out his business in, much larger, much faster. And I do some consulting along the way, helping business owners kind of make decisions about what they want to do with their future, and some transition planning. I'm also a Tennessee Supreme Court Rule 31 mediator. So oftentimes I'll be called in to help people kind of think through things together. For example, if two partners want to divest their relationship and maybe have it formalized in the course of documentation, I'll sit down with them and help them kind of think through what's the right valuation, what's the right structure to make the deal optimized for both parties. Because if you have a situation with partners and they each get their own lawyer involved and their own kind of advocate, all of a sudden, you know what happens. It becomes contentious, and it becomes my story against their story, versus a mediator can sit down and kind of go, look, I'm here to help you all make a good decision. So that's probably 10% of what I do, is just helping people think through and work through those kind of decisions.
Okay. So what do you think differentiates you from maybe some of the business brokers or investment banking firms in Tennessee?
Well, I think a couple of things. In my corporate world, at my corporate life at Disney and in Salem, I've been involved in some pretty large transactions. So I've seen a transaction from the buy side. I know what it's like to think like a buyer. I've been a buyer. I know how that works. I know what the buyer's thinking before the buyer is at the table. So when you put yourself in the perspective of the buyer, it really makes your advocacy as a seller much more effective. And I think that's very, very unique. Clearly, I've got a classical training. My education as a lawyer at Harvard MBA has helped me bring a rigor and a discipline to the process that most folks I see out there don't have, or don't have the ability to have. So I think those two things help me really bring value. Plus, I hate to say it, but I guess just age is a factor of, I'm not sure there's much I haven't seen or done. So nothing quite surprises me. And I think helping people through that process can be pretty effective. I mean, I really look at, ultimately my role, I don't even like the word broker. I think my role really is more of a coach. I help business owners through a process. They've done the work. They're gonna do some more work when this is over with, likely. I just kind of coach them through the process, and whether it's a buy side or sell side, and helping the parties maximize what they brought to the table before I got there.
Okay. Is there any one thing you like to do more than anything else? If you could pick and just do one thing all the time.
Wow. Well, that's a great question. I like the process of negotiating. I like sitting down. You know, when you finally reach that point, and you've been there, you finally reach that point where you've got a buyer and a seller at the table. And you're helping those parties kind of decide if it's mutually logical to go forward. So, because I should just add parenthetically that unless a deal really works for both parties, it's not going to happen. It's going to blow up one way or the other. So you might as well sort of get there or get out, right? And I really like that. I love that process of sitting down and talking strategically with both parties to make sure it's strategically logical, and then helping them think through the process to get the deal done. That's probably the greatest source of pride and pleasure for what I do.
Okay. Last question. Business owners watch our show for a few reasons. Sometimes they're looking for a way to enjoy a little more freedom, not spend so much time in their business. Sometimes they're trying to grow their business. Sometimes they're interested in accomplishing a transition, either through a sale or to an insider. And then sometimes they're having a hard time redefining their purpose after they leave their company. If you could give them one tip in any one of those four areas based on your experience, what do you think that tip would be?
I think the thing I would recommend to business owners is to really every day stay in touch with your why, because there's ups and there's downs, and I have found that if you're too high on a good day or too low on a bad day, you can get distracted. And if you just kind of keep remembering why you do what you do. When I owned my radio business about 15 years ago, it was a tough deal. You know, buying these businesses, I bought three radio businesses and combined them into one, and they were all in trouble. And quickly upon the combination and putting a good team together, they became profitable. But that was a difficult, laborious process, and I had to keep reminding myself why I was doing it and the purpose that drove me to do it in the first place. So I think that whether you're contemplating bringing in equity or contemplating your eventual exit, really keep a focus on your why, because I think it's the anchor that keeps you grounded.
Okay, great. Good interview. Good tip, too. Thank you very much. That was Jim Cumbee. He's with Tennessee Valley Group. For more information about Jim and his company, please check out the show notes for this episode on our website.